Going on, everybody? Oh, it looks like I got a little something there. I'm looking. It's like a mirror when I turn on the video camera and the self-facing camera. Um, ooh, it was a not a bad day today. Um, I'm a little antsy because when I looked at that apartment yesterday, I wanted it. I was like, let's do this now. um, we had, he seemed he seemed receptive. He told me this could just be, blowing smoke up my ass to, if for some reason he didn't want me to live there, or he get a bad vibe about me or whatever. He said something to the effect of, I told a couple of other people that they could come and see the place, but now this was true. He had just painted the whole place. The steps going up to the second floor, he had just painted. He painted everything. I mean, everything. I mean, it was obvious. It was a fresh coat of paint. You could smell it. Beautiful job painting. I mean, precise. It was this guy. If I don't know if he does all the work himself or whatever, but this is a solid build. This is a solid place. Like all the work, like it's the exact opposite of where I live right now. I really took a good look at everything, and I mean, I didn't have to, but every single thing that was done in this apartment was done right and with precision and good craftsmanship. And I notice all these little things. There's probably, I mean, there were a couple of window AC units that were not mounted in windows, but mounted like, you know how you take a window AC unit and you have a hole cut out in a wall to mount it in, instead of actually mounting it in an actual window, which I actually like that better. That, if that's the way that you're going to cool a place down, if you're going to use a window AC unit, but you cut a hole out for the unit, and then if the unit goes bad someday, you just put a new unit in the same hole. Those things can be really powerful. I had one. I had a big apartment. It was a big open studio apartment, and it was one of those units, heat and AC combined. Not a mini split, but a wall in the. It was like a window, but it was in the wall unit that was AC or heat. But it wasn't the same thing as a mini split, because that's what you might be thinking when I say that. This was a long time ago, but that apartment would be ice cold. I'm talking ice cold. You could turn that thing into a refrigerator. And on the flip side, you could you could turn it into an oven and bake something in the living room. It was a really cool place. All the utilities were included in that. It was when I was in art school. And so I could keep that whatever temperature I wanted. The owners didn't care. But the one thing I noticed about this place I looked at yesterday were the AC units were a little bit old. They weren't, but they looked fine in terms of functionality and everything, but it didn't match the rest of the place. The appliances weren't brand spanking new, but they were good. Like, they were solid appliances. I mean, there were a few little things like design-wise, layout-wise, where I thought the space wasn't used as good as it could have been. Just from a design stand. This is what I'm talking about. I'm making critiques on this apartment based on like design and architecture design and interior design kind of an eye, instead of looking at it and going, man, this place is a fucking dump. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm critiquing it based on, well, I wouldn't have put that countertop there because the way that space kind of comes together doesn't really look, it's kind of non-functional. It's bad feng shui, that kind of stuff. Like, I'm like, it's bad. That's bad feng shui. But I went into the main bathroom and the toilet. I mean, it's solid. It's like, well, it's perfectly square to the wall. I mean, it's it's done right. I checked out the sink. I looked, everything was done properly. There's a nice bathtub. It's not too deep of a tub, but it's a bathtub. And it's got, a shower, and it's got a tiled wall for the shower. And I like that. It was really nicely done too. Um if I do get the place, I'm going to take you all on a tour. You'll be like, "Wow. Some nice digs." I'll have to take you on a tour when it's empty because I'm gonna have to take you on a tour when it's empty because when I put my ghetto ass furniture in it, my camping cot bed and my folding camping tables and all, it's gonna look out of place. But there's plenty of the nice thing is it's got nice big cabinets in the kitchen area. Um, it's got it's got some other things. It's got places to store stuff. So I really the amount of stuff that I have, like the place is gonna look empty even with all my stuff in it that I currently have in here. Where in here in this tiny house it doesn't look cramped, but it looks like everything kind of fits and everything has its place here. And you really couldn't fit anything else in it. That place is gonna look empty. Empty. But I don't want to, I don't count my chickens till they're hatched. You know what I'm saying? I don't count it as a job till the money's in the bank. I don't count this place as mine until I get the keys and a lease in my hand. But the guy, he said that he had already told some people that they could come and look at it, but he didn't want anybody coming to look at it when it was being painted. And I literally texted him at like 9 o'clock on Saturday night, and Sunday morning or Saturday night we set up a time for Sunday to go look at it. And then so he painted the place on Saturday, and I could tell it was fresh paint. Like the stairs were painted black, and the stairs were like immaculate. I mean, I was the first person to put footprints on that dry paint. Well, he probably was, but I was the first person to come and look at the place after he painted it. So maybe if he had told some people last week, Friday, Thursday, whatever, and he kind of rolled his eyes when he was talking about them, he kind of said, I don't know what to think. Because, that could be a way to blow smoke up somebody's ass that you don't want to rent to, make them think that you do, but be like, well, I'll let you know what I mean? And then just be like, either I get ghosted or he says, no, I decided to rent to that other couple or that other person or whatever. So he could just be shopping around, like maybe he wants to meet 4 tenants, and see which one he thinks he likes the best. I'd do that myself. I'm not going to lie. If I had a place to rent and I had 4 prospective tenants come and look at the place, and one of them seemed better than the others, I would try to hold out and see if that person wants the place before I just let one of the other tenants take it. But I would also, here's something that happened to me when I was in Pittsburgh. This was a long time ago. I was living in this beautiful old house next to Riverview Park. The park was my backyard. I had my own personal mountain bike trails going into the park. Long story short, the house got to be too much to handle in terms of size, and the heating bill in the winter was outrageous. The most outrageous. Outrageous. And sometimes it was more than the rent to keep the house livable. I'm talking like half the house being 50 degrees and only having rooms be warm enough, the rooms that you're actively using being warm enough. It was drafty. It was a big old drafty house. And one time I had moved in there with a girlfriend and things didn't work out. And then I ended up staying and I was going to move out when we broke up, and then I was able to, I don't know how I did it, but I'm a good negotiator, and I was able to get the landlord to drop the rent by $150 a month. Don't know how I did it. I just, I don't know how I did that, but it worked. And he never raised the rent on me after I did that. And I lived there by myself with my daughter. My daughter would spend every other week with me. And then, whatever, sometimes more, sometimes less. She was she was like a preteen, like a 12-year-old. Right, she was about 12 years old at the time. Give or take. I lived in that house for 5 years, 6 years, or something like that. Winter was dreadful. The gas company, the natural gas company, and the electric company, I would get so far behind on those bills that I would spend all summer having to get caught up on them. I would have to wait until they were about to shut off the utilities and then get on a payment plan. It was like the only way I could survive it, because it was so outrageous to try and keep that house livable, let alone warm. It was a 1, 2, 3-story house. Each story of the house was as big as an apartment. Huge. This place was huge. The basement had like 20-foot high ceilings, and it, like I said, at one point I had a bicycle shop down there. I had like 50 bicycles hanging up on hooks from the ceiling joists. It's a crazy big place. But I moved in there with a girl I was with for a long time, and then my daughter also lived there. And so it was the three of us, and we turned it into a nice place. I'd made it nicer when she left and made it even cooler. And but the winter was always dreadful. I remember one time we decided to try and put up plastic on the windows. There were 27 windows in this house. I counted them. It was so ridiculous. And they were big. Some of these windows were huge. Like this, I can't even describe it. It was just this old house. I don't know when it was built. What became my office, the first floor, had pocket doors. The pocket doors that you slide out and close off a room with, big wooden walls. And then I could open up the pocket doors and make the whole first floor wide open. But in the wintertime, I'd have to close off the pocket doors and use these electric baseboard heaters that just ran up the electric bill ridiculously high to keep that room warm. And then the rest of the house was freezing cold all day while I worked. And then there was a gas furnace that the gas furnace couldn't keep that house beyond 50 degrees. That gas furnace would run all winter and never turn off. And it could only get the house up to about 50, 60 degrees. It could never get the house to 70 degrees unless the outside temperature was warm enough to allow that to happen. In the dead of winter and the really cold parts of winter, even putting plastic on all the windows didn't do shit. It helped increase it a little bit, but that house was brutally cold in the winter. And so at some point when my son was born, not too long after my son was born, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And it was beautiful. It was a fun place to live. It was the kind of place, if you bought the house, there were a lot of problems with this house. It was a beautiful old house, but there were some scary things going on in that neighborhood. Not just the ghetto things, but the house had structural things, but it was on a hillside. And Pittsburgh is notorious for landslides on these steep hillsides. And there was a landslide in Riverview Park one day on my street, because my street, the backyard was the park. 4 houses on my street slid down the hill one day in a landslide during a rainstorm. Another house shifted on its foundation and had to be condemned. And the guy who owned that house, the insurance company wouldn't cover any of the damage, and he ended up he was like an older guy, like, I want to say like an almost elderly couple with, living off Social Security and whatnot. And their house, the foundation shifted, and the city condemned the house, and the insurance was like, "Go choke on a dick, you fucking old bastards," and fucked them. I don't know what happened to them, but they lost their home. They weren't even allowed to go and get anything out of their home before when the city demolished the house. They wouldn't let anybody in the house. So they lost everything in the house and their home. And the insurance wouldn't pay for any of it. So I don't know what happened to them. This is what this something could happen to you. Like all you people out there, especially you fucking trolls who leave your douchebag comments, you're all just one incident away from losing everything you have in the blink of an eye. Those old people, they lived in this nice house next to the park for all these years, and then boom, 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 three of their neighbors' houses go down, like collapse in a landslide, and the ground by their house shifted enough to rock the foundation enough that they weren't even allowed to go back and get their stuff out of their house. And then the city came and just demolished the house. So there was like a whole chunk of my road just missing. And then there were like two houses in between me and the house that was condemned and knocked down and demolished. So that could have been my house. I was renting it, but I can tell you it was a steep hillside, and I would never want to own a home built into a hillside, because I've seen what happens when you do that. I've seen that more than once. I lived in Pittsburgh. Half the homes in Pittsburgh are carved out of hillsides, and those hillsides move. Step cracks in the basement, foundation problems all the time. Just nonstop. Like you're constantly, like any day your house could just go floop down a hill. That happens more than you would. More. It's not a common thing, but it happens a lot in Pittsburgh. Because they'll just fucking build a house on anything. They'll just take the steepest hill in the neighborhood and put a street going straight up. And then instead of a sidewalk, it has a staircase next to it because it's so fucking steep. It's a crazy, crazy place. And so I was getting out of this house. And I found a really dope apartment. Really, really cool apartment. Like a bachelor pad kind of place. It was a 2-story house, but it was small and efficient. Heating bills would be nothing. I mean, it money wise, it would have been so budget friendly. But it was beautiful. The first floor had a wraparound stone fireplace that just went on a curve all the way around this one room, and it was like, whoa! I mean, it was like a jaw dropper. From the outside, the place looked kind of dumpy. It didn't look bad. It didn't look condemned or anything. It wasn't in the greatest neighborhood, but when you walked inside, whoa, this place was out of this world cool. Like, it was a sleeper. You would never know what's inside this when you drive by it. And when he took me inside, I was like, yo, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And there were just so many things. There were so many things about... There was a laundry room that was kind of cool. And there was a one or two car garage. But it was a compact garage. It wasn't a ridiculously big garage. But then there was like this middle garage kind of workshop room. It would have been a bicycle shop for me. I would have been able to park a car in a garage and then have another room next to the garage, like a completely separate room with a door going. But it was a workshop area, and it was big enough to have like a handful of bikes and a bike shop, and it had a built-in workbench, and but it was well crafted. This place's craftsmanship. And it had I don't remember all the details, but then you went up it was a fairly large spiral staircase. You go upstairs, and there were these 2 bedrooms at the end of a narrow hall. The bedrooms were pretty small, but I'd have a bedroom for, my son when he was coming over to visit. my daughter, or the bedrooms were, it was a my kids would have a place to stay when they come hang out with me. And the kitchen was kind of small and tight. This place did not revolve around the kitchen, but the upstairs had this like family room kind of a thing at the top of a spiral staircase, another spiral staircase. And it had its own uniqueness to it. And it was like, it was like an open concept. You'd look down a balcony to the other room. It's hard to explain, but it was a really cool place. And I was like, yes. There was an outdoor patio off the kitchen, but it was small on the second floor. It was concrete with a concrete set of stairs going down, paved driveway, concrete driveway, and no grass at all. No grass. So there was absolutely no yard work, no maintenance. It was literally a concrete. The house went right up to the sidewalk, all the way around the house. And it wasn't like a busy residential neighborhood where people are walking all over the place. But house went right up to the sidewalk went around the house, and then everything aside from that was concrete, like a concrete slab, like a driveway / concrete, everything. It was like absolutely no maintenance. You might go out with, a string trimmer to get the weeds out of the cracks in the concrete in the sidewalk, or you might go out there with some Roundup. Not that I would like to use Roundup, or some sort of weed killer. You might have to go and spray some weed killer in the cracks in the sidewalk and patio and the concrete, anywhere where weeds could grow up in between cracks, slabs of concrete and stuff, not cracks as in, ghetto cracks, but where two concrete slabs come together, the cracks in the sidewalk, or the gaps in the sidewalk. That's probably the more accurate word. So I was 5 minutes away. I had the money ready. I had signed a lease. I had a signed copy of the lease in my hand. And I was 5 minutes away from getting in my car and driving out to meet the guy and getting the keys to the place. And he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, one of the other people that looked at the place offered me a lot more money than what I was asking for it originally." He said he'd be willing to pay, because this is one the guy said to me. He said, so the guy said he's willing to pay $200 a month more than what I'm asking for it, and I can't turn the guy down. He's like, "We haven't signed a lease yet." He's like, "I just wanted to call you and see if you wanted to match his price. And if you wanted to match his price, I'll still let you rent it and we can do this today." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You want to get me in a bidding war for an apartment?" And I didn't know, the guy could have been full of shit pulling a scam on me. It could have been a bait and switch. It could have been like this tiny house here where he gets you in at a certain price, and then after you're here for 2 months, he comes at you and raises the rent. I could see this motherfucker doing the same thing again. He's got the place listed on Craigslist right now for $200 a month more than I'm paying. But what if nobody moves in and he starts lowering the rent and he gets it back down to what I'm paying right now, and he finally gets a tenant to say yes and move in, and then he waits 2 months and tells that tenant, "Okay, I gotta raise the rent." It could just be a fucking scam that this dude runs all the time. Keep lowering the price on Craigslist until someone decides to take it, and then let them live there for 2 months and drop the bomb on them that you're raising the rent. That might be what he did to the last guy that lived here. He told me that the last guy that lived here was a drug addict, and he was out running around the backyard screaming and yelling and half naked and doing all kinds of weird shit, and the neighbors got mad about it, and he told the guy he had to leave. But I'm like, that could just be some made up bullshit. It could have been the same fucking thing he did to me. Could have had the guy living here for 2 months, and then told the guy, okay, I'm raising the rent to $300 a month, and the guy was like, fuck you, I'm out. So it's not really a good way to handle your business, but that might be what's going on. But anyway, I got plenty of, I'm not gonna get I don't have my hopes up, and I don't have my hopes down. I'm leaving it in God's hands when it comes to this apartment. It's beautiful. It's definitely pricey. It's not ridiculously overpriced, and for what I'm getting for the price, it's better than anything I've looked at so far. It's better than every place. There's only two negative aspects about it compared to the other places I've looked at, but every place I've looked at has negative aspects. Some of those negative aspects are deal breakers for those places. So, but I'm really hoping that guy told me to call him on Wednesday and check in. I might call tomorrow. I've got a meeting tomorrow morning. I might have some other things to do. But at some point in the day tomorrow, I think I'm just going to send him a text and say, I'm really interested in that place. Thank you for showing me. Just be really polite and just say, I would like to get you a down payment. I want just entice, offer the money. I would like to put a down payment in your hands if you're willing to work. If you want to work this out, I would be able to move on the last day of the month. I can put a down payment in your hands and probably get you the entire amount, the down payment, the security deposit, and the first month's rent by the 15th, with moving on the last day of the month. It's not going to take me more. I think I might be able to get help when it comes to moving. And honestly, there's only like one thing that's hard to move myself, and that's my antique desk that you've seen in some of the videos. If I take all the drawers out of it and take all the stuff out of it and then lock the top, it's got a skeleton key, so I can lock it so that the thing doesn't fly open on me. I can carry it myself, but it's awkward, and I got to put it down like 3 or 4 times as I'm carrying it. Now, if I rent a U-Haul with a van, they'll have a dolly in it. And, if you break the fucking zip tie or whatever to use the dolly, they charge you, $20 to use a fucking dolly. So that's kind of... U-Haul's a shitty company, but it's probably what I'm going to do for this move, because it'll probably be the most convenient and cheap for that, especially if I do a move that's a mile away. I mean, that would make sense to do anything but that. To be honest, my best friend's vehicle, we could probably fit every single thing I have and do 3 trips with his vehicle to get everything out of here. But I would rather just, because when I do it, I'm gonna be like, all right, boom, let's go. Saturday morning, when everybody's gone, just handful of trips to and from a moving van, leave the keys on the table and be like, see ya, bitch, I'm out. See ya. There's not a thing he can fucking do to me in court about this because of all the shit he's done. So if he takes me to court because I do that, he'll owe me money at the end of the day. Guaranteed. Like, that's for sure. If I get everything solidified and a lease in my hand, and I know that I am absolutely 100% moving on the last day of the month, I'll give him some notice. Just, the lawyer said it would make me look better if I gave him notice before I leave. Legally speaking, it would help my case. Otherwise, I would bounce and just be like, left the keys on the table. Good luck, motherfucker. On the last day of the month, I would just peace out, leave the place empty, and just be like, oh, by the way, I'm gone. So, good luck, asshole. You send my security deposit to this address. And just send him an address, give him an address that's not my new place. I've got a few different options of where I could have it sent, and then it would be sent to me. I could have it sent out of state up to somebody in New York. and have it turned around and sent back to me. Be fine with that. I wouldn't be in a hurry. But I'm due to get it all back because of what this motherfucker's done. So, like, he has no grounds in the court. If he decides to go to court, he has no grounds against me. I've like I said, I lawyered up within a. Well, I lawyered up. I started to lawyer up on the day he did this to me, on the 3rd of April. But I didn't actually get a lawyer talk. I didn't find a lawyer that I could talk to and like do something with until a week. The following Wednesday, whatever the 3rd of April was, the following Wednesday is when I lawyered up officially. And so I was given some advice on how to do things. And I asked a lot of questions, and I'm like, well, what if I did just bounce at the end of the month? They're like, he can't do anything. They're like, he's done so many. He's already done fucked up. He's already done fucked up so bad that if he walked into a courtroom, the judge is going to throw whatever he wants out in the trash, and you're going to walk away with a judgment in your favor. Money. How you get the money, how you collect it, who fucking knows? Sounds like he owes a lot of people some restitution for all of his scam operations and shit over the years, so I'm just going to be waiting in line. And he puts everything in his LLC, his brick and mortar business, so I wouldn't be able to go after his personal assets. And his business doesn't probably have anything, except money in the bank. I don't know. He's probably found a way to swindle all that shit away to keep the people that are coming after him from being able to get anything from him. I mean, people do that. Alex Jones got a $1 billion judgment against him in that fucking lawsuit, and he hasn't paid shit. So they keep trying to take his shit away, and he keeps beating them. So, it's probably not worth my time, is what I'm getting at. I just want to get out of here and move on. But I have a lot of things in my pocket that I can unleash if he does provoke and come after me. He's going to get... The counterattack is going to be so massive that it's going to be what do they call it? Operation, I don't know. It's top secret. I can't tell you right now. So, yeah, today, I'm antsy because I want to get that apartment locked. But it might not happen. I do have another place that, last I checked, it was still available. So I still have one in my pocket. The other ones that I've looked at are probably still available, but I can't get good internet there. I can get DSL, which is crap. Possibly I can get fiber down the road, but they have no ETA on that. The landlord oversold the internet, and I knew he was. And so I made sure to do my own homework on that. And when I did, it didn't go well. And I was disappointed because I was like, I would have done it. Money-wise, a little bit cheaper. Not a whole lot because I'd have to pay for the utilities, electric, maybe something else. So they're all kind of in the same price range. I have a limit. So when I search for anything, if it's above my, I have an upper limit and a low limit. This place here, when I found it, it was at the low end of my limit. And that's what was appealing. Honestly, I was like, I had to get a place, and I had a week left to do it, and I hadn't found anything yet. It's not as easy. It's not easy to begin with, especially when you don't have a car, and you're doing it all on a bicycle. But I don't want to dwell on it too much. I think this guy, it may or may not work. Now, when it came to the criminal record, he said that he had a guy living there before that had, I forget what he did, but it was worse than anything I did. I can tell you that. He had a criminal. He said he had a tenant there that had a criminal record, and it was like something really bad. And he had done time in prison, but he said that the tenant was a really good guy. He never had any problems with him, and he didn't judge the guy based on that. And so we talked about my stuff. I was like, look, you're asking, I'll tell. I'm like, you're not. He asked me if I'd be willing to do a background check, but he didn't push it on me. He was just kind of like, cause he was like, and I was like, you can. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I'm like, but here's what you'll find. And he goes, oh, I don't have a problem with that. He even then he said, I had a tenant here that was worse, had a much worse thing than that. And I didn't judge him for it, and it turned out to be a good situation. He was a good tenant, and we didn't have any problems. And so he wasn't like, his demeanor and his language and the things that he said, and he was kind of telling me all the things he still wanted to do before I would move in, and like put rubber treads on the stairs going up to the second floor, and just small little finishing touches, to just the professional little touches. And he was talking about some other things. The garage doors are sealed off, so you can't open them. The garage door openers are disabled, and so if you hit the button on the wall, it won't open or try to open. So but they're still there, and he's not going to remove them, because in case someday he decides he wants to use them again or whatever. But he said probably not while I'm there, but he might make that look more professional on the inside, like because it's obvious that it's a garage door, but it's insulated. And he did some stuff to insulate it so that it wouldn't be, freezing cold in the winter and super hot in the summer. But it could be done better. That was one of the criticisms I had, and because it was such a nice place that it kind of like the garage doors look kind of but there's ways that you could fix that. If you're an interior decorator, and like something I could do ghetto style for a rental like that is just find a cool curtain to hang, that goes across the whole thing and just hides it. I did that in a place I lived once. We had a TV up against a corner of a wall, and this was back before the big rectangle TVs were a thing. This was like a high-end Sony Trinitron, big flat screen, but it was the square TV still back in the day. This was, the rectangle TVs weren't really a thing yet. And so it was, how do I put it? There was this like bird's nest of wires, and there was these two speakers on stands, and it just kind of looked off. Like it just didn't look right. So I found at the thrift store this one day, I found this velvet curtain, this really long, tall velvet curtain. It was red. And I'm like, that's like a movie theater curtain right there. That's like a stage curtain. So I draped it around. I hung a curtain rod above the TV, and then I fashioned this curtain around everything so it looked like you were in like a theater. It was like a small version of a movie theater kind of screen. Like the curtains that you see on either side of the movie theater screen in some theaters. And so it was kind of like that. And it hid all the crap that was going on back there, and all the ugly wiring and all the stuff, because it was this entertainment system, and the way it was all set up and everything, it just looked crappy. But that curtain fixed it, and it looked really dope. And this was like in a ghetto ass, 22-year-old house, for a 22-year-old kid. But things like that. So you could find something cool like that, and you get yourself a couple of cool curtains like that. So, cool curtains, whatever they are. Get a couple of curtain rods. You could even utilize the framework of the garage door and just put a connecting rod from one rail to the other, and then you can hang curtains from that vertically, and then that's going to hide those garage doors, and it's just going to give your room a cool look. So like this is the kind of place I would actually do some. I'm going to get plants. There's lots of natural light on that second floor. I'm going to turn that shit into a jungle. There's going to be all kinds of cool plants up there. And then on the first floor where there's not as much natural light, maybe a few snake plants or stuff that there's enough light for some snake plants and some low light plants. And then you can just rotate that shit, throughout the house. You don't have to have the same plant in the same place all the time. So, when when you want to like encourage the plant to grow a little bit, take it up where there's some more light. Have like a handful of snake plants and different plants that thrive on low light, and just rotate them so that the downstairs has plants, but you take them upstairs every now and then and let them get the light, and take another plant downstairs and let it sit in the, you can have some fun with this. In this place, I can hang up my photography. I can make this place a beautiful home. If I stayed there even for a year, I could, even just doing a little bit at a time over the course of a year, I could do a lot. But I could also make sure that I don't waste money and do things that, like, I want to make sure that whatever I do, I can take to my next home. But some of that stuff you can do on the cheap. You just gotta know how to play the game. So I'm already like it's already like got me. That's the good thing about this place. If I do get it, I'm already in that frame of mind of, ooh, all the things I could do to this place and enjoy about this place. It's the same kind of feeling I had when I found my place out in the Amish country by the waterfall out in the woods. I was just, my jaw just, oh my God, I'm going back to that day right now, and I'm like, it just makes me sick that I lost all of that. Even though it wasn't my house when I lost it, I was trying to make it my house. I was saving money to make a move to try and buy it and make an offer at least. And if the owner wasn't really ever willing to sell it, which I know for a fact people in the neighborhood who know them said that they were just about ready to sell it when I moved in. But then they found a tenant, which was me, which allowed her to keep the place. So they were thinking about selling it. But anyway, it's a long story. It's a different story. And this was the one place I looked at that I got excited about. The other ones were like, it'll do. The ones out in the woods were like, I mean, they were good, but they weren't great. They were okay. This one really did it for me. I was like, ooh, this is good. This is a good one. But it might not happen. So I tried to make it happen yesterday. I was like, everything short of, I will go to the bank right because it's Sunday. I'm like, I even said, I could go, right now I could go to the grocery store right now and get you 2 money orders for, to get you that $1,000 to start things off. And he just kind of said, well, I want to make sure I show it to the people I promised I would. And he even kind of made a comment but I don't think, he didn't say these words, but he said, I don't think I'm going to want to rent it to them, but based on something I don't know, something he didn't like. I don't know, but it's not done until it's done. And I'm not going to stop looking for a place just because I found one I like. but I want that place. But I'll keep, I'll look tonight. I'll look and see what shows up. I'll see if I can. I reach out to at least one or two a day. I don't reach out to. I'm not in like a desperation, just sending out emails to whatever apartment I can, every single apartment listing I see. I'm only sending out messages to ones that I would actually want to see and actually want to live in. And every one that I've looked at so far since I started this process is a place that I would want to live. Every single one of them. I've looked at 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there 5? I don't know. Every one I've looked at, I've wanted to live in. But 3 of them had bad internet. And no, there's one. No, it was one. Oh, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've looked at 5 places in the last few weeks. And 3 of them have bad internet. 2 of them have good internet. 1 of them is still available. And the guy actually decided to do a deal with me where I could pay half of the security deposit the first month and half the second month, so I don't have to even come up. The move-in cost is almost half of what it would be for this other place. But that place it's a significant upgrade from where I am right now. It was a much nicer place than this. But there were things about it that I just couldn't, because I could have locked it in for a May 1st move, but I just had this sinking. I had this feeling like keep looking. It just didn't feel right. It was an upgrade. It checked off some boxes. It was okay. But this place I looked at yesterday was, if it turns out to be the place I'm going to move, that's the reason why I had this feeling like I had to hold out a little bit longer. So I'm a little antsy just because I want that place. I feel like it would be like, I don't know. Like, there's pros and cons about it, but it's always going to be that way. Today, the bike ride. Let's see. I got another ride. Actually, I rode all the way to work and all the way home, not a single horn honk. On Saturday, I rode all the way in, no horn honk. On the way home, somebody honked at me once, but it wasn't like a ultra obnoxious douchebag, and it was on the road where they always honk at me, but it was more like a beep beep as the person was passing me, and I countered with just a simple middle finger, no fuck you, no, no words to go with it, just a little one of those. And we all went on our merry way, and that was it. But that was it. One horn honk. So in 2 days, I've had one horn honk on my way home the first of the 2 days. And I was like, that's different. I'm not used to that. I don't know what's going on in the woodlands, but I don't know. It was different. I wasn't prepared for that, but it was a good thing. I don't know. I didn't really feel it today. Listened to a podcast all the way to work, and then the clouds rolled in, and it was supposed to rain, but it was looking like it was gonna rain, but then it didn't rain, but it just kept looking like it was. And the Silver Bullet, the Specialized bike I just bought, it's a little bit of I don't trust it yet. Every time, like, every couple of rides, something loosens up. So right before I was about to leave, I noticed one of my brake levers is loose on the handlebar. You can spin it around. And I'm like, it was not like that this morning. I don't know what happens to the bike. Nobody messes with it. Nobody touches it. I can see the bicycle the whole day when I'm there. Nobody goes up and starts, playing around with it. things on this bicycle loosen up on their own. The handlebars have loosened up on me twice, to where they're not in the stem tight. I've got it. I think I've got that dialed in now. It hasn't happened in a handful of rides. The rear brake has an adjustment screw to center the brake on the rim. That screw keeps working its way out. Road vibrations, whatever, then the brake pad starts rubbing against the wheel as I ride. And that's getting annoying. And it's a simple screw, it's a simple mechanism, but I'm going to probably have to put some Loctite on that screw. So now I got to go to Home Depot this weekend. On bicycle maintenance day, I'm going to have to go to Home Depot first. Or maybe just order some Loctite on Amazon. I'm going to get the blue and the red. The blue Loctite is less... it's easier if you start with the blue, use the red if the blue doesn't work. Red Loctite will lock the nut and bolt together tighter than the blue Loctite will. So a drop or two of the blue Loctite, and I'll put the screw, I'll get the brakes adjusted, and then see if that screw stays put. As long as it stays put and doesn't back itself out. But I looked when I went to go on the bike today and I saw that the brake was rubbing. I'm looking at the screw and the screw's all the way out. And I'm like, what the hell? I just fixed it this morning. And it backed itself out. And so that got on my nerves. And then the brake lever was loose on the handlebars, and they were not loose this morning. And this one was, I'm like, how is something loosening up while I'm in work all day, not riding the bike? And then I looked inside the brake lever to see where the bolt is to tighten it, and it doesn't quite. I'm going to have to look this one up online before I think I know what to do, but it's different than what I've seen before. Like, it's not different than anything I've seen before. It's the screw that looks like what I have to turn in order to tighten it against the handlebar is too dainty, and it's a Phillips head screw. And I'm like, that can't be how I tighten this brake lever against the handlebar. Usually it's an Allen bolt, and it's usually a significant bolt that you tighten to tighten that up against. But, could be pretty much anything. I don't know if you can hear how loud it is when it rains, but that was the other factor on the way home. I keep talking about how, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, Jesus says, you can tell a mountain to move and it will move, and you can pick up a mountain and throw it into the sea. And I can't do that. But somehow I can keep the rain from getting on me. Because all day long it was raining everywhere except for where I was and where I had to go. It was almost like I had a shield around me. And I get on my bicycle and I start riding home, and I get, I'm like 15 out of the 20 miles done, and there's maybe one or two little raindrops. And then all of a sudden it started to rain a little bit. And then you know how it is when like you hear the pitter patter on the leaves, and then you hear the pitter patter getting louder and louder, and then you can hear leaves off in the distance getting rained on, and you're like, oh, here it comes. And so it started to come down in big drops. Not like what you're hearing if you can hear the tin roof of this place right now. That would be another beautiful thing, by the way, is living in a place with an asphalt roof and insulation, to where if it is raining like this outside, I won't even have to listen to the rain like this. Like it's loud in here. It's obnoxiously loud in here. That's a thing. If you build a cabin with a tin roof, it's gonna the rain is a. This isn't the first time I've been in a cabin when it rains. A cabin with a tin roof that will. The tin roof is going to be durable and it's going to last. It could potentially last a lot longer than an asphalt shingle roof, but and it might be easier to deal with when things do go wrong. Definitely durability is up there, but it the amount of noise that you deal with when it rains is unreal. There's things that you can do. You can add texture, like you can get like sprays that will add texture to the. You can do things to dampen the sound, but it's all just it's all money and time. But so it started to rain hard enough that I wasn't getting wet yet, but I'm like, oh crap, it's coming. So I pulled up to a tree. There was a dry spot on the trail under a tree. And I'm like, this is a good spot to pull over. And I got out the rain cover for the backpack. I got out my raincoat, put the cover on the backpack, put my coat on. Didn't lose more than like a minute to do this. And then as soon as I started riding my bike again, I went like 500 feet and the rain stopped. So I never even got wet. I just got a few drops on me. And now I'm wearing a raincoat and a backpack with a rain cover. But I'm sweating. And now I'm getting more wet from my own sweat than I would have been if I just left the rain jacket off and just kept riding. So God, I have put in almost 2,000 miles on my bicycle since January 1st. And in those 2,000 miles, I've been rained on 3 times. 3 times I've been rained on in 2,000 miles. And the worst of the rain, this one morning on my way into the bakery, it started raining really hard. And I had to pull over, put on the backpack cover, put on my raincoat, and I started riding, and it was coming down, and I was getting wet. Like, I was legitimately wet. But about not even 20 minutes later, the rain stopped, and it never rained the rest of the way in. And my feet dried off. My feet weren't, like, completely soaked, and it just kind of stopped. And I was good to go. But when I got my shorts were wet, my clothing was wet. I hung it up to dry in the bathroom. It never really fully dried. So it wasn't horrible, but that was the worst of it. The second time it rained, it was on my way home from the bakery, and it was just a drizzle. Like, it was like going through a mist tunnel. Or walking around the zoo in the middle of the summer where they got the big giant fans and the misters attached to the fans and you get a blast of the mist as you walk by. It was like that. The whole ride home, it never actually rained. It would sprinkle and then it would go back to the mist and then it would sprinkle and then it would go back to the mist. So I had water coming off my helmet. I was wet. My shirt was wet. But I never put on a raincoat because it wasn't like my back, the backpack got wet, but nothing got inside the backpack. So I didn't put the rain cover on. It was just peaceful and chill. And today, it was a little bit different. Today, it just had this ominous vibe the whole way home. The sky was dark. People were driving around with their headlights on at 4:30 in the afternoon because it was so dark. The cloud cover was really thick. It was like, it's coming, but it wouldn't come. And it just kept looking like it's going to rain, but it's not. And like I said, 3/4 of the way home, no rain at all. and then it did come down. It started to come down like it's actually. I actually thought I was going to be wet when I got home. But as soon as I put on my raincoat and the cover on the backpack and rode 500 feet, it stopped. So the trail was wet. The roads were wet to a degree. The roads dry really fast here. At least all the roads I ride on around here, when it rains, the roads dry. Like, as soon as it stops raining, within 15 minutes, there's no more water flinging up on the bike from the road. In Pittsburgh, man, when it rains in Pittsburgh, for like an hour after the rain, you're still getting water coming up off the road as you ride. It takes forever for those roads to dry. But here they dry fast. Different pavement styles. So that was the ride home. That was the ride in. The bakery is pretty uneventful today. I made some really good cream cheese frosting for they had a bad batch. They had to have Mixmaster A come to the mixer and do it right. And nobody micromanaged me, and it came out perfect. I was like, wow. I was even like, because I've seen and I'm not saying there's other people there that are good at that. But I was a little worried because I had some powdered sugar that was sticking to the bottom of the mixing bowl on this big ass mixer, and I was a little bit like worried. I kept scraping it up, but it wasn't like, I was worried that I was going to end up with a messed up frosting. And then it all kind of came together at the end, and it came out perfect, man. I was like, yes. The thing with the bakery, and it was the day where I had all the heavy lifting and the the putting away the delivery truck order. That was like a 4 hour. That was 4 hours worth of that today. But I do dig this job more. The more I go in, the more I like it. And the more I like everybody I work with. And that's a cool thing. Like this one girl, she left. 2 girls left to go work in a new place. And then one of them just came back. She worked at the new place for like 2 weeks and was like, and quit. Came back. And she's really cool. I like working with her. We get along just fine. And so I was like, oh, good to have you back. And, she got to learn that lesson of it's okay if you leave a job on bad terms and everybody really likes you and you're really good at it and you you earn their trust and they don't want to see you leave, you can quit, go work at a new place, and if 2 weeks later it sucks, you can go back to your old job. I've seen, even in the professional world, in the design world, I've worked at companies where they've hired back employees that left. Employee leaves the company, goes somewhere else for a few years, comes back. A good company won't hold that against you if you leave and come back. Because, a good employer will realize that people come and go, and it's part of business, and you just have to accept it. Some companies will get vindictive if you leave and go to another company, and then they will use that against you, and no, you won't ever be able to get a job there again because you shouldn't have left in the first place and all that but it's a company like that's not a good place to work. So I don't know. There's things that, obviously I don't want to make $10 an hour for the rest of my life. And you've seen that I've cut this back to 2 days a week so that I can focus on other things. And I'm having a hard time focusing on those other things for reasons that are... It was almost as soon as I cut back the hours to 2 days a week at the bakery, all this nonsense with this slumlord started. And it totally ruined my focus. And that threw me into a tailspin, all of a sudden having to scramble and try to find a new place to live at the end of the month, which turned it into the end of the next month. But it's way more comfortable now trying to do. It's almost like this was April 3rd, so I thought I could find a place to live by the end of the month, but financially it just wasn't going to work. Now, my biggest problem is I jumped the gun. I ordered all the stuff for my bicycle before I even knew about the place that I went and looked at yesterday. So when I went to look at the place yesterday, all of my bicycle orders were already pouring in. I would not have placed that bicycle order if I knew I was going to look at this place last weekend. So I jumped the gun, and now I'm going to be scrambling a little bit to cough up the money to. If the guy is cool with me doing this, I'm going to have to cough up some money and be in a tight spot for a couple of weeks, and it's going to be rough. But it's still more comfortable in spite of all of that. It's still more comfortable doing that right now than trying to move at the end of April was on April 3rd, even though I had the rest of the month to do it, because I was locked into my budget. I have my rent payment, all my bills. I basically had a budget figured out at the beginning of April on the first of the month after I paid my rent. I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do for the rest of the month. And then this fucking dickwad threw that wrench in my life, and it threw everything off kilter. And basically I could just crumple up my budget and toss it. And now I've got to scramble to try and find a place to live, and which means I just paid rent, and now I'm going to have to find 2 more months of rent at a more expensive place and come up with that on top of it. And so it just wasn't possible to do by the end of April. I tried. I really did try. I put in some miles on the bike. I scrambled to collect as much funds as I could. And there were 2 places I could have done, but the internet was a deal breaker. And the other place that I looked at, it just got too close to the end of the month, and I was like, I just don't see how I can do it. And it was just, I didn't want to I had other places to look at scheduled, and I'm like, I don't want to just, that other place, I don't want to get into a situation where I move into a place and 3 months later I hate it and I wish I had held out. So I'm holding out, and even if it ends up being expensive to the point where I have to, like, now what do I do? Now what do I do? I got to find a better job. I got to make sure that the freelance stuff takes off, and I've got all these other things and these concerns coming at me from every direction. But if I'm in a better place, if I'm in a place that I actually like, that's tranquil and peaceful, and it's clean, and things work, and I can take a hot shower, and I have a real kitchen to cook in, an actual kitchen. So, no more trips to Burger King, that's for fucking sure. But there'll be some adjustments to make. But if I'm in a place that's peaceful and tranquil, it will trigger me to get more done, and as a result, I'll start making more money. I might actually hit my stride, either doing my own business, or maybe the right thing will fall into place at the right time. The good Lord has a way of making things happen. And so, I don't know, it's like this journey started on April 3rd, this new monkey wrench in things, but as you watch these videos, you'll see that it affects me, and I went downhill, and now I'm like, okay, I'm coming back out of it. I'm not going to stay in that funk forever. In spite of this one fucking dickbag troll, oh my God, could I look at I don't know how to look up his name. It's like I don't even know. He's got some goofy profile picture of himself standing in the street in some fucking ghetto somewhere. He's literally been showing up to almost every video since I was homeless to say some douchebag comment on every fucking video. And a lot of you fans, a lot of you people that like the channel and like what you're watching, you all jump on him whenever he shows up. But he shows up at every fucking video. And I'm not going to kick him off the channel, but some of you have been saying that you post comments and then the comments disappear. Well, you know, the guy who went to prison, who went to federal prison for being an internet troll, isn't going to be out trolled by some fucking amateur hour troll on a YouTube channel. So I popped in the other day and I was like, you know, children like you are the reason why I support the women's right to have an abortion. Because his mom should have aborted him. And YouTube didn't like that one because I went back like an hour later, it was gone. So the the fucking little bitch ass crybaby troll probably hit the report button when he got his comment. He was like, I'm telling on you, you mean, that's mean. And so yeah, you can dish it out, but you can't take it back. But yeah, the comment disappeared. It happens to me too. I went to the section of my YouTube studio where I can see the comments that get held for review. And the ones that get held for review are fucking ridiculously bad sometimes. And I'll just be like, fine, approved. Let them go. I don't give a fuck at this point. Like, I don't care what any of you people say. But I'm going to answer it. I wish I knew the guy. I don't know. You'll see the fucking... You'll see... Just look for a profile picture of some dingbat standing in a street in some ghetto somewhere. It's got like he's got like some Russian, Eastern European screen name of some kind. Just some goofy fucking... something you can't pronounce or read that makes no sense with a bunch of random numbers and shit. Because he's not creative enough to come up with his own screen name like mine. Or, you know, he doesn't... I don't like when people just, you know, douchebag 9765324-5 as a fucking screen name because douchebag was already taken, you know? And so, you know, all these fucking trolls have douchebag screen names like that have, you know, it's almost like they're just bots. Like, they're just a bunch of fucking bots that show up and shit all over a channel trying to provoke you or whatever. So, I don't know. I'm just like... I don't know, your mom should have had an abortion. That's all I'm going to say. And I support a woman's right to choose because the women that choose to do that are the ones that I don't want their kids voting 20 years from now. So, good riddance. Fuck, man. I mean, why are the Republicans so against letting the Democrat women have abortions? I mean, think about this. Why getting Sun Tzu, you know, Sun Tzu says, never get in the way of an enemy defeating itself. Just step aside, let them do it. I saw some post on Twitter. Some dumbass liberal bitch had a t-shirt on and it said, I've had 39 abortions, and she had this like smug look on her face like she was proud. And I'm like, 39 fucking abortions? Like, why not? Why didn't you just go for an even number, like 40? Why 39? Why'd you stop at 39? And then I'm like thinking about this, and I'm like, wait a minute. She's like got to be, let's say she's 45. Obviously, she's living in a house full of cats. No man in her, well, the men in her life just come and go, I guess. And I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe she started having abortions when she was 20 years old. Let's say 20 years old was the first time she had one. So that's 25 years and 39 abortions. Whoa, that's like more than one abortion a year. I'm wondering, do you get like, if you have 39 abortions, do you get like a little punch card when you go to Planned Parenthood with a bunch of little squares around the outside? You know, come in for 9 abortions and the 10th abortion is free. Is it like the I Hate Kids Club at Planned Parenthood? Wow, man. Liberals, man, liberal women hate kids. That's for sure. And I can say this from experience. I've dated a couple of liberal women, and they hate kids. They fucking hate kids. Unfortunately, I had a kid. So, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. But after the 2 women that I dated that were liberal women, never, ever, 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 ever again. I'm telling you, if I went out on a first date and I didn't know your political opinion about things and you told me that you voted for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, I would have to get up and say that I'm going to the bathroom, and then I would just leave. I'd go to my car and just leave. You can pay the bill. You can ask the waiter or the waitress for the check, and you can cover the bill. You know, equal rights. It's feminism. You know, a woman has just as much right to pay for the bill on a date as the man. So knock yourself out. We're done. I'm ghosting you and I'm blocking your number. So if you're mad about it, I'm not gonna know. So that's what'll happen if I get duped into going out on a date with a liberal. I'll never be a boyfriend of a fucking liberal again. That's for sure. I've only done it a couple times, but I learned my lesson on that. But they hate kids. They hate kids. One of the 2 liberal women, she now that I could go off on a tangent that would take you on a wild ride, but I'm gonna stay on topic today. One of the liberal women that I dated, I'll tell you some more about that one some other day, because that's a holy fuck. That's a crazy story. This one girl she dated, she was married to a heart surgeon before she met me, and so she was making some good money on the alimony. She was doing all right. I don't know. She had probably been divorced for a year or so, something like that. I don't know. Enough time had gone by. I don't think she was just throwing herself out on the playing field. You know, 2 days after the Super Bowl was over. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think she had an off season, and we started dating, and whatever. But her and her husband hated kids, and they were actually members of a club for people that hate kids. No kidding. No kidding. That is the name of the club. The name of the club is No Kidding. You can look this up. I'm telling you, they got a fucking website and everything. And this club, the No Kidding Club, is for couples that hate kids, so that they can all get together with other couples without these fucking screaming little obnoxious brats running around everywhere. So they can go out and have a dinner together and not have to worry about someone screaming baby or having to deal with some toddler throwing a fucking fit. Fuck those fucking kids. They hate kids, and they have a fucking club, a card-carrying membership club for people that hate kids. No kidding. No kidding. For real. No kidding. It's the name of the club. I could just imagine, like, I don't know, do they have like a No Kidding annual picnic at the fucking amusement park? And then there's people walking by the pavilion looking at all the picnic tables of these sourpuss, angry, liberal dickhead couples, all wondering, where the fuck are the kids? There's not a single kid in there. Oh, man. But anyway, I'll tell you the rest of this story, and then I'm cutting it for this video. The liberal women, with the kids. They love animals. Liberal women love animals. That's why they got all those cats. But they love animals and they hate children. And like the one of the liberal women that I dated, my child at the time was old enough. It wasn't like I had a toddler anymore. It was like I had a 9-year-old up through a 13-year-old or whatever. My daughter was old enough to, like a little miniature adult. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, and she really never even threw fits or tantrums or had things like that going on until she was like a teenager. And that didn't even last that long. She's a good kid. And, but, we had our beef, but, she's a good kid. But, both of these liberal women, but they hated kids. They always talked about those fucking little brats, and they'd be in a restaurant, someone would have a baby crying. Why did that fucking asshole bring a baby to a fucking restaurant? It's like, I don't know, maybe because babies like to eat too. I don't know. Like, what's your fucking problem? You were a baby once. My God, we were all babies once. Get over it. But then I remember the one girl, she ran over a rabbit, jumped out in front of the car while we were driving down the road, and she plowed it right over. Just ba-boom. Bugs Bunny. What's up, Doc? It's over. It's it, man. Yeah. That's all, folks. That was it for that bunny. And she cried. This woman cried for days about this dead bunny rabbit. But little kids could get killed. You could read a newspaper article about a fucking drunk baby daddy who picked up a toddler by the leg and threw it against the wall and smashed a kid up against the wall and killed it. And she'd be like, oh, whatever. But a dead bunny rabbit, ooh, poor bunny rabbit. But, fuck that kid that got thrown up against the wall and killed. And I could never figure this shit out. And then the ultimate proof of my... I've seen this a million times since. But I was with this other girl. And you might remember the stories, but this was a long time ago. This was years ago. This was more than 10 years ago. But these two stories happened simultaneously. And the first story was in China. A little girl probably 5-6 years old, was walking down the street with her mom or something like that, and she got run over, like she got hit by a car. And she was laying in the road. And the mom was trying to get help. I don't know. Maybe the kid was by herself. I think the kid was by herself and she got hit by a car or something. And she was laying in the road, like off to the side, like a fucking dead raccoon. And people are just walking by. The Chinese, these fucking Chinese, they're just walking by, and they're like they're like even walking around her and just going on their merry way while this fucking girl's bleeding out in the road. At some point, a fucking dump truck rolls by and runs her over like boom, boom, like that, and just leaves her in the fucking road, like literally like a fucking dead raccoon on the side of the fucking road. And people are riding by, and people are driving by. And people are walking by, and I'm talking hundreds. There's a security camera watching her. Like a security camera on a light post or something. And this is the CCTV video that they're showing. You can probably look this up and still see it on YouTube right now. And this goes on for like a fucking hour. They just let this little girl lay on the side of the fucking road like roadkill. And finally the mom shows up and's like, oh my God, my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And like... somebody finally showed up and they scrape the kid up off the fucking road or whatever. They take her to the hospital. She dies. She wasn't dead when they took her to the hospital, but she dies at the hospital. Probably because they just let her lay on the fucking side of the road like a dead raccoon. And everybody who could have helped her just was like, fuck it, little piece of shit, fucking dead bitch. I don't give, just walked by like it was roadkill. And I had this girlfriend at the time, and I was telling her, I was showing her, I'm like, look at this. This is crazy. She'd be like, fucking stupid kid shouldn't have been playing in the road. Literally, like, this girlfriend of mine looks at me and she goes, stupid kid shouldn't have been playing in the fucking road. That's her problem. Like, didn't give a fuck. Like, that fucking dumb cunt that I was dating would have walked right by this girl like it was a dead raccoon on the side of the road. And I'm like, wow, you are a fucking piece of shit, aren't you? And so I'm like, okay. A couple weeks go by. And there's a guy in Ohio. It was a big story in Pittsburgh because it wasn't too far from Pittsburgh. I'm going to say it was in the Youngstown, Ohio area, somewhere south of Cleveland, Akron, somewhere in that area of Ohio, which is fairly close to Pittsburgh, so it was big news, but this is a national news story. This guy had a zoo on his property. He had like a private zoo. He had a bunch of pet tigers and lions and shit. And I don't know what the fuck happened. He lost his mind. I don't know if the town was like, maybe the town was like telling him he's got to get rid of his tigers and shit. I don't know. Something happened. I don't remember all the details. So the guy, finally, he goes, I'll show them. He opened up all the fucking... he fucking opened up all the animal cages. The lions, the tigers, the bears, whatever the fuck. He had all these dangerous animals, and he fucking just opened up all the cages, and then he takes a fucking gun to his head and lights out. Kills himself. After he opens all the animal cages and lets the animals go free. So now there's a... now there's a bunch of fucking tigers and lions and cheetahs and shit running around Ohio. like it's fucking Africa now. Like it's the Sahara. Like it's the fucking Serengeti. Now Western Ohio has all these fucking tigers and lions and shit running around town. And so now the cops are out there, the sheriffs and the state troopers and all of it. And they track all these animals down and they start shooting them all. So they're like, fuck it, man. It's a fucking, we got lions and tigers and shit in a neighborhood full of kids. Sorry, but we're going to do what we got to do. They're like, we ain't got time to fucking capture these animals and get them into a zoo or whatever. Like, game on. It's like, these are in, like, there's lions and tigers in people's backyards now. We just got to do what we got to do. So they shot him. And this girl that I was dating, we're watching this shit on the news. And she's like, oh my God, oh, the poor animals, oh, the poor tigers, and they shot the poor tiger, oh no, the lions, oh, the beautiful lions, oh, they didn't deserve, those lions didn't deserve to get shot, oh, the poor tigers, and this went on for a fucking week, her crying and having a fucking fit about some dead tigers and lions that this nut job let loose in the neighborhood of Ohio. And I'm like, well, what about the children? Like, what about all the children in the neighborhood? Like, do you want to protect the children from getting eaten by the tigers? Well, they shouldn't be outside when the tigers are out. I'm like, man, you fucking cunt. You really do hate kids, don't you, you fucking bitch? Oh my God. All the liberal women are like this, though. I have tested them. Oh no, I take it. I had 2 liberal girlfriends, like actual relationships, but I've dated a few more that were more like, we ain't gotta say anymore. Just, a few months here, a few months there, a little bit of. But then, when the liberal shit comes out, it's like, all right, gotta go. But now I'm at the point where I will not even go on a date with one of these fucking blue-haired, even if they have blonde hair. Even if they look normal on the outside, like they don't have the blue hair and the goofy ass glasses and the man haircut, like what's his name? What's that dude's name on MSNBC? That I can't even think of his name. Rachel something or other. I don't know, but yeah, that dude, that goofy ass, like yeah, they all look like that. But no, if this one, if even if the girl looks hot and she looks like you wouldn't even know she voted for Joe Biden by looking at her. You know, you look at one of these blue-haired weirdos with the horn-rimmed glasses, you're like, yeah, I know who you voted for. You're wearing the fucking uniform. I got it. I'm not going on a date. But like I said, if I found out the hottie, wait, you voted for who? Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I won't be back. Don't worry, you pay the check. Equal rights, women's lib. You'll get it. So anyway, yeah, this fucking woman who hated the kids and loved the animals, they all, like, the liberal women that I hung out with, but didn't really get into a relationship with, they were all this, I tested them on this. It was one of those cool tests I was talking about in a previous video, except this was like a douchebag test. Like, I would always pay attention to how they reacted to anything to do with animals, especially animals getting harmed. And then I would watch how they react when it comes to children and what they say when children are being harmed. Like Jeffrey Epstein Island. Oh, fuck those kids. You know, but the tigers running around the neighborhood. Oh, the poor tiger that got shot. You know, you run over a fucking snake in the road and the girl starts crying because of the dead snake. But a kid gets run over and she's like, stupid fucking kid shouldn't have been playing in the road. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, that's a test. That's a test. I will pay attention to that. That's something I had a girlfriend, my ex said that she paid attention to how much I drank way more than I thought she did. And she liked the fact that I don't drink. I'll have like a beer, a couple of beers, a drink here and there. My drinking days have been over since 2015, and even before 2015, it was just a couple of beers here and there. But in 2015, I would still go to a beer festival here and there, a wine festival here and there, and those are trouble. And the beer festival went downhill fast. Long story short, me and 6 friends, we all quit drinking. Not totally, but like I said, go out to dinner, have a drink, a couple of drinks. That's it. At home, even at home, a couple of drinks on a Saturday night. That's it. I'm not getting drunk. I'm never going to be drunk again. And so she was like telling me at some point deeper into the relationship, she's like, you didn't realize this, but I was paying attention to you like a hawk when it came to drinking. She's like, if you would have actually, like, if I would have watched you drink, like, she was like, I even noticed, like, how many beers, that I was counting the beers in your fridge. Like, I would have, like, a 12-pack in my fridge, and it would sit there for, like, 2 months. She's like, if I came over to your house, and every time I came over, there was a new 12-pack. Like, she's like, I was paying attention to how many beers you had, and how long it took to drink them, and how many bottles of wine you have on your wine rack, and the fact that they haven't changed in a month or 6 months or whatever. You've got a full wine rack full of wine, but I noticed that the bottles don't change very often. You only drink when other people are around. You know, I was looking at the level of booze in your booze bottles, and do they drop from week to week? Like, she was watching it closely because she had problems with people in the past with alcohol. I do the same thing when it comes to certain things. Like, and one of the things is, are you a dumbass liberal or not? And if I can't find out right away, and it's kind of like the thing with the kids. Like, do you love animals and hate children? That's a big no-no. That's a big no-no for me. You got to like kids more than animals. Sorry, it's like the one girl, she was kind of conservative, but she didn't like kids. And when her dog died, she took 3 months off. She was a rich girl. Her dad owned the company, and she would get on a first class flight to New York City to go to Bloomingdale's or Prada or some fancy store, buy a $20,000 purse, get back on the first class flight back home, and just because she was bored. Like, she would literally probably fly first class to New York City and take a cab to Manhattan to go get a frozen hot chocolate at Serendipity, and then get back on a fucking first class flight back to Ohio, just because she was fucking bored. She would order a milk. She'd get milkshakes sent to her place on DoorDash from a restaurant right across the street, because the lazy bitch wouldn't walk across the street to get it herself. So she'd pay $30 for a fucking milkshake and have it delivered by DoorDash, just because she lazy bitch. But her dog died, and she took 3 months off from work to go down to Daddy's mansion in Cabo San Lucas to grieve over the dead dog. And then when I was like, I called her out on it, and I'm like, that's pretty fucking crazy. She's like, that dog was part of my family, and all this and that. And I'm like, okay, fine, I get it. You loved your dog. I'm like, this is the reason why when you go back to work, nobody respects you. And they all think you're daddy's little girl, and that, like, that's why nobody wants to talk to you and nobody wants to get to know you, and nobody likes you at your job, right? You understand this, right? And she's like, I don't get it. I'm like, well, how do you not get it? I'm like, let me explain this to you. I just worked with a guy at an ad agency whose son died. Son was like 6 months old and died, got sick and died. Guess how much time he took off from work to grieve for his dead son? About 3 weeks. Him and his wife, they had the funeral. He was gone for 3 weeks. And guess what? Motherfucker had to come back to work or he wasn't going to have a job anymore. So, like, do you think any of your employees at your daddy's company would get to take 3 months off from work because their dog died and still have a job when they want to come back? Are you out of your fucking mind? And I just went off. I'm like, you are so detached from reality that you're fucking nuts. And you think that you can't even, like, you're so detached from reality that what I'm telling you makes no sense to you. Yet everybody I'm telling you on the video right now, you're all like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. What the fuck's wrong with her? But that's how these people are. These rich people are so detached from, they're on a completely different planet than the rest of us. And so, like, they don't even understand that that's not a normal thing that people would get to do. No, I've never had a job where I could take bereavement leave for 3 months because my dog died and still have a job when I want to come back to work once I'm done crying about it. So no, not for a dog. Dog, you bury it in the fucking backyard. You get the family together. You say a couple of prayers. You put a little cross or a little doggy grave, or you probably go to the fucking pet store and get a little doggy grave to stick in the backyard, and you're like, that's where Fido is right there. He was a good dog. And then you go to the pet store, you go down the road, you go on Craigslist, wherever the fuck you go, and you get another dog. And next week you got a new dog. And that's it. You move on. It's a dog. But no, if your baby dies, if your son dies, you get 3 weeks off from work and then you got to come back. And nobody at your daddy's company gets to take 3 months off if their child dies. Like, you think does your dad let employees take time off if their baby dies? If their kid died, would your dad let them take more than a couple weeks off? Would your dad let them take any time off? I don't know. I'd never met the dad, so I don't know. I'm not going to pass judgment, just passing it on her because I got to know her. But I'm like, so yeah, your employees, your daddy's employees that don't like you, when you come back, you say they don't respect you and they don't treat you with respect. How do you think they're going to treat you when you come back from Daddy's mansion in Cabo San Lucas after you went on a 3-month bereavement leave for a dead dog? They're going to think you're fucking nuts and they're going to think you're a spoiled little cunt. I'm like, sorry to break the news to you and drop a dose of reality in your life, but maybe you needed it. I don't know. Maybe that's why she liked me. She told me it was like Princess Leia and Han Solo. And that's why she liked me, because I was like Han Solo and didn't give a fuck and was just rugged and did the Kessel run in 10 parsecs and, outrun Imperial troopers at every turn, except for when they came to my fucking house with a tank. But that's another story for another day. Either way, I just couldn't do it. I'm like, how I would say things to where I'd be like, so if we end up living together, obviously it's going to have to be in a mansion that you buy, because I don't have that kind of money. And I'm like, so how does this work? Am I just the boy toy that lives out in the pool house? Like, do I get like the little guest house in the backyard, by the pool, the little 2-bedroom the little 2-bedroom thing? And then like when we break up, how does that, do we have a talk about it, or do we talk to each other in person, or do you send the butler out to tell me it's time to pack my things and go? How does this all work? I don't know. I don't live the way you guys live. So this is all new to me. How does this work? And so yeah, this shit didn't work. So but yeah, these fucking liberal women. She wasn't even liberal, but the liberal women especially, man, they love their animals. They love animals. Poor little puppy dog. They love Dr. Fauci though. And Dr. Fauci tortured beagles. He locked beagles in a cage with a thing around their neck and then opened up a bucket of sand fleas and had the sand fleas eat the dog's face off as medical experiments. But before he did that, he'd cut out the dog's voice box so that they wouldn't have to listen to the dog's bark and yelp while they're getting their face eaten off with fucking sand fleas. And that's a real thing. And that's just one thing and he picked beagles. I don't know, probably because he wanted to pick a cute dog. Why didn't he do it to a bunch of fucking pit bulls? Take a bunch of pit bulls out of the ghetto and do that. Like, or are you just because you're afraid of pit bulls and what they might do to you if you lock them in a fucking cage and let them get eaten by sand fleas, but a poor beagle's just gonna cry? I don't know. But he did that to beagles, yet you liberal women that love the animals so much, you lined right up to take his fucking shots, didn't you? But now I've been going off about all this shit for about an hour and 45 minutes. And I ain't got nothing else to do tonight because I rode my bicycle 40 miles. I busted my ass at a bakery. I've done enough. So with that, I've said enough, and we're going to talk later. Peace out. I can't be long. Wow. I'm going to tell this fucking shit. This place, the story around this fucking place is so crazy. The story around this tiny house nightmare is so, it never ends. I was just thinking to myself, literally, I made some sandwiches. I haven't even taken a bite yet. I said to myself, because everybody at the bakery, anyway. So good. This is so good. This is so fucking good. This is so fucking good. I'm about to find a new place to live. I just know it. I'm gonna believe it. Please, God, please tell me you didn't take me to that house yesterday that I like just to drop it off. I'm calling that dude tomorrow. I'm gonna believe that you want me to live in a good place. There's no way the things are happening the way they are right now. When I put the whole story together, beginning to end, plus the thing that you guys don't know, the major thing. Anyway, they say karma never forgets an address. And karma is a motherfucking biatch right now. So there's a text message from the landlord saying, please call me. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this going to be? And I'm literally, this is right after I thought to myself, because everybody at the bakery is caught up fully on the story. You know, the fraud, the burglary, the prostitution ring, all the stuff, everything going on with the hot water and all that. And then this other thing, all the things that you've heard aren't even close to the thing I'm not telling you right now. It's fucking mind-blowing. So now I call the landlord. I had to take a couple of deep breaths to get ready for this, because I'm like, what's this going to be all about? Landlord tells me, hey, I just wanted to let you know, bro, that the gate that you come in and out of with your bicycles and on the side of the house, I'm going to have to lock that from the inside from now on. And he goes, yeah, the contractors that did all the work on the hot water, they stole some stuff from me. They stole some property, and they stole a lot of money from me, and the police are involved right now, and I'm not letting anybody on the property, and I'm not letting any contractors on the property until this gets resolved. But they walked off with a lot of money, and they stole from me, and they took this and they took that. I'm like, yes, 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 Jesus is full of power. The power of Almighty God has spoken. Oh my goodness, the power of Almighty God. The shield of Christ is upon me right now. When I left this morning, I forgot to say, when I left this morning, his car had a flat tire in the driveway, and I was getting on my bicycle, and I was like, well, when I get a flat tire, it only takes me 5 minutes to fix. And I just laughed as I was going away. I was like, first thing I thought when I saw the flat tire on his car this morning was, Karma never forgets an address. And now I'm actually putting something together in my mind. I'm like, what if this guy stiffed the contractors that came to do all this work for him? And so they showed up and slashed his tires in retaliation to something he did to them. And what if there's this Mexican standoff going on now? I don't even know, man. This is fucking crazy. Maybe they slashed his tires. Maybe these fucking Home Depot contractors, maybe he stiffed them and they came by and slashed his fucking tires. So, in my case, I've been leaving my bicycles in the tiny house when I leave for 2 or 3 weeks now. Ever since like April 3rd, whenever I leave, the bicycle I'm not riding, it stays in the tiny house, and there's cameras pointed at it. I might even have to get another fucking camera at this point. Like, I might need more cameras. Just like, 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is what, 2, and 4 is you know what to do. So, I don't know, man. It's... I might need another fucking camera before just to get through the next few weeks. I think I might fucking buy one. I don't know, man. I don't even know. This place is fucking crazy. I'm telling you everything, I'm telling you bits and pieces, but I'm going to have to put the whole thing together in a whole, one video from beginning to end that just tells you the story of what happened here. And the missing piece the piece I'm holding back the most on, because I'm waiting to see how it all shakes out, to be honest. The Dateline NBC story, the 2020, the the CSI, whatever the hell you want. I'm telling you, man, there's some crazy shit happening. Crazy shit. I wouldn't even be surprised if I'm actually I'm putting together a whole bunch of scenarios in my head, just connections, connecting the dots on certain things that probably aren't related or connected to each other, but things that have been going on. Yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. That's for sure. Um, for sure. Oh my god, but karma is a bitch, ain't it? Because he just called me. He had a flat tire this morning. Maybe it was the. Maybe there's a Mexican standoff going on right now. His tire was flat this morning. And all of a sudden, he calls me up with this thing saying he's going to put a thing on the inside of the gate to lock the gate so nobody can get back here. And he just wanted to let me know that when I leave in the morning, this fucking gate, oh my god, anyway, this gate doesn't even latch. This place is such a fucking, this place is such a disaster. But anyway, the gate that I leave through, it's a mess to begin with. I can't even imagine what's coming next. But at some point, I'm not going to be able to open the gate from the outside when I get home on my bicycle. I'm going to have to go through the house, let myself in, come out the side, open the gate, and then bring my bike in. Whatever, it just, and then hope that my bike doesn't get stolen in the 30 seconds that it takes to do that. But this shit gets. So I was just, like I said, I was just sitting here. I was making a freaking sandwich, and I was thinking to myself, what, everybody at the bakery is all caught up on the story now, and now it's going to be what happens next. What happens next? I don't know, man. Whew. It's May 5th. It's 5/5. Cinco de Mayo. Uh, oh my god. Oh, this is beautiful. Now, okay, so yeah, I woke up this morning. Dude had a flat tire. He said his contractor stole a bunch of money from him and did a bunch of stuff to him, and he probably stiffed them and they're retaliating against him. Contractors, I forgot to put the quotes around it. And now I'm bouncing at the end of the month without. I probably won't even tell him I'm leaving. I'm just gonna be like, see ya, I'm out. Keys are on the table. Good fucking luck. Um, it's gonna be, and then I could hit him from 10 different directions after I walk out the door. Like, oh, this dude's gonna get karma. I don't know. My mind is blown. I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna stop this video. If you made it to the end of the video, you got the bonus of what's going on here. If you waited through the 4 hour and 45 minutes and got this far and got to the end, leave it in the comments below that you know, just say karma is a motherfucking biatch, or you know, you don't even have to swear. Karma's a bitch. Karma never forgets an address. If you made it this far, leave it in the comments below. Karma never forgets an address, or karma is a bitch, or karma is a motherfucker, whatever the hell you want to do. But if you don't want to swear, karma never forgets an address. Just let us know that you made it this far and you can see the tide is starting to turn here. So I know all the trolls are going to be upset if things work out in my favor, But fuck them. Anyway, peace out.